Continuing with the excellent post-operative round by Dr. Anubhav and Dr. Nikhil, our scenario is going to be based on trauma. And we have two students, Dr. Bhargav and,
yes, sir.
And the other student, Dr. Drishti. Is she there? Okay. So if Dr. Drishti isn't there in the scenario, so
yes, sir.
Ajay, you are there.
Good afternoon,
okay.
Sir. I'm there.
Good afternoon. Okay. Okay. So Drishti and Bhargav, first of all, I'll quickly give you the background of our case. So you have a Mr. X, 56-year-old male, who is admitted in trauma ward 7 days ago. He had a history of road traffic injury, wherein he has sustained multiple injuries, including blunt trauma abdomen and fracture of left femur. He underwent laparotomy with bowel repair and open reduction and fixation of fracture femur. He had been improving since then. However, on the 7th day of admission, Mr. X deteriorated with respiratory distress and fall in blood pressure. He also complained of acute chest pain and chest discomfort. You are surgical resident on duty in the trauma ward. Dr. Bhargav, will you please repeat this scenario for me?
Yes, sir. He is Mr. X, 56-year-old male, admitted in trauma ward 7 days ago with an history of road traffic accident with multiple injuries, including fracture of left femur. He underwent laparotomy with bowel repair and open reduction and fixation for femur fracture. And he had been improving. On the 7th day of admission, Mr. X deteriorated with respiratory distress and fall in blood pressure. He also complained of chest discomfort. You are the surgical resident on duty in the trauma ward.
Okay, I'm sure Dr. Drishti, you would have read it. Okay. You are muted, Dr. Drishti. So with this background, I will proceed. So first question is to Dr. Drishti. What will you access and what will you do for this patient? You are being called in the trauma ward for this patient. What will you assess and what will you do?
Well, I will check for the SpO2 of the patient and immediately start him on high flow oxygen if he's already not on oxygen. And I will try to get an chest X-ray immediately in the trauma ward itself.
Okay, so before chest X-ray, as you said that you will
and I will
check for... Okay.
I will assess the patient clinically for his breath sounds. If he has some, if the breath sounds are decreased on any side or if there is some additional sound, I will try to assess clinically for after 7 days, he might be having a component of ARDS.
Okay, let us so okay, you very correctly said, you said that you are going to check oxygen, SpO2 you said, and you will start on oxygenation. Okay, Dr. Bhargav, with this picture, what will be your answer? How will you proceed?
Sir, I will check for first airway, whether patient is phonating or not, whether I will talk to the patient. If he is fine, that means airway is not compromised. Then I will look for breathing. For me, breathing.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you very correctly start. So I'll go on to the next slide. Both of you got the crux of it. If you get such a patient in your examination and you are being asked, what would you assess? So it is better to say that I'm going to assess A, B, C, D, E, which you both have said. You did say that I'm going to check SpO2. So in a nutshell, you're going to assess A, B, C, D, E. You're going to identify life-threatening problem at Dr. Drishti emphasized, and along with the resuscitation part will also continue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep assessing and resuscitating whatever lacunae is there in that patient. Got it? So you both are on the right track, but it's better you say I'm going to assess A, B, C, D, E. Although you are summarizing a part of it, now I will expect something from you because it's a scenario that we're giving to you. So we'll keep feeding you other informations. Dr. Abu, please.
Okay, Dr. Bhargav, you want to know about the additional information regarding ABCDE. The patient is talking, but sentences are not very clear. And trachea is central, JVP is normal. And patient is on auscultation, the air entry is decreased on left side and patient is tachypneic with breath sound with respiratory rate of 36 breaths per minute, and SpO2 is less, it is 88%, and patient is using accessory respiratory muscles. So what is your immediate concern at this stage?
Sir, I would like to have a DD of pulmonary embolism, sir.
Okay. So you want to do something, or just you want to?
Yes, sir. I want to do something, but
So
first
what will
I
you
will
do?
send. Meanwhile, I will take the ABG. I will take my assistant to take the ABG. I will put on the patient on face mask first with high flow oxygen. If he's improving, I will take it. Or if he's not improving, I have to change it to NIV.
Okay,
Very good.
very well.
So
Yeah.
so you will start high flow oxygen, probably at a rate of 15 liter per minute with Venturi mask, which gives 60% of oxygen, because you are in ward. You have this in your armamentarium. Okay.
Very well said, Dr. Bhargav. The fact that we want to emphasize here to all our dear postgraduate students is that sometimes we kept thinking of very high level things, but these simple maneuver like oxygen supplementation can save the life of a patient. This patient is having respiratory distress. We have few DDs in our mind. Dr. Bhargav just illustrated one of them, but at that point of time, diagnosis is not important. What is important is to resuscitate what you are finding. Saturation is 88%. To me right now, I have to give oxygen. I'll keep investigating further the scenario, the time, but at this point of time, I have to give oxygen supplementation to the patient at a high flow. Okay. Any additional information that you would like to know from regarding this patient, Dr. Drishti?
Would like to know if previously any X-ray or CT scan has been done for the patient, if there is some missed thoracic injury.
Dr. Drishti, at this point of time, if you want to know the previous CT scan at the time of, at the admission, you mean to say? Okay.
So
What-
like previously in last 7 days.
Okay, Dr. Drishti, I will, at this point of time, I'll say that going on to the history part, apart from that, I will like to address something else on an urgent basis. History will come. I will guide you. We are going from A, then B, and now we are going to check about C. I will like you to ask me what are the vitals of this patient, isn't it? We'll go to the history part. Perfect, that's fine. Okay, I'll let you know where history is going to come, where all these aspects is going to come, right? So any additional information, Dr. Masood had given you information about airway and breathing. So I would expect, you would be expected in examination from airway to breathing, assess the circulation part. Got it? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so before going on to the CT and history, I would like to know about the heart rate of this patient, which is 120. Blood pressure is 90/48. Hands are cold. Capillary refilling time is 5 seconds. In disability examination, patient is anxious. GCS score is 15/15. Pupil, a normal size, normal reaction bilaterally. In E part, that is exposure part, abdomen is slightly distended with laparotomy incision present. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So with this point, how will you proceed now, Dr. Bhargav?
Yes, sir. Sir, by looking at the circulation part, patient is in hypovolemia. He is in shock. So we have to find out the cause. Either he is having a hemothorax or any. I would like to do the abdominal examination first to look for any drains, whether any drain output is changing. And I would order for an X-ray, chest X-ray and ABG. And if there is any abnormal findings on my abdominal examination, I would like to do a bedside ultrasound first.
Okay, Dr. Bhargav,
And
again,
ECG, sir.
very well answered, but again, I will emphasize the fact. In your life, in your assessment, never forget ABCDE. The patient is in shock. I would have expected you to say, I'll put two large IV bore cannula,
Yes.
I'll give fluids. You know, before going on to the CT scan and ultrasound abdomen and chest x-rays, the basic thing, you are there in the ward. You will like to resuscitate the patient. So it's about assessment, resuscitation, which goes together. Sometimes very simple things, as you said earlier, oxygenation. So here I would have expected 90 is the BP. Sir, I will like to put in two large IV bore cannula, take blood sample, send the blood for cross matching and arrange blood. start on with ringer-elected or normal saline because they are isoosmotic. I'll arrange for blood. I'll send investigation. Let's follow. We'll do everything which you are saying. Dr. Drishti and Dr. Bhargava, whatever you're saying, we are going to go on to them. But let's not forget the basics, A, B, C, D, E. You agree with me, Dr. Bhargava?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So we started on with 500 ml of RL. We had put in 2 large ibuprofen cannulas because it was post-op day 7. Patient was doing fine. We were, all fine, relaxed. We never knew the patient is going to, desaturate all of a sudden on 7th day in the morning when you got a call from the trauma ward. Okay. So you did give put in 2 large bore IV cannulas, started on with IV fluids. What will you do next, Dr. Drishti?
Now I will proceed on the abdominal examination and assess for any tenderness and distension and free fluid in the abdomen. The patient might have some bleeding or component of abdominal compartment syndrome. So I will find out I will proceed to find out the cause.
Okay. So, Dr. Abu.
Yeah.
What will you
Dr.
suggest?
Drishti,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Drishti, we are emphasizing on the role of ABC in resuscitation of the patient. And I think this is the this should be the motto of our discussion first. So you will reassess the patient on the line of ABCD, and you will reassess the effect of treatment. You have started oxygen and you have started IV fluids. So before going to abdominal examination and all, you need to reassess whether patient is responding to or not with your treatment. So you will reassess on the line of ABCD and the effect of treatment, right?
Okay, sir.
So you want to know more about this patient, the progress? Okay.
Yes, sir.
The A is same, that patient is speaking, can speak, and oxygen saturation has improved to 92% because we have given the high flow oxygen. But blood pressure is still 94 by 50 millimeter of mercury. So the next rapid bolus of RL started, and D is same, that is the GCS and people is normal. So what are the threats to his life at this stage?
Dr. Bhargav, what do you think?
Yes,
What are
sir.
the threats to his life?
Sir, hypovolemia first. Hypovolemic shock.
Okay.
And sir, saturation is not maintaining.
Okay.
So oxygenation part is hampering. It's 92% is there.
Okay.
And
So
the
what do you-
hypothermia, sir.
Okay. So what do you have in your mind as a probable cause for all these complaints that you have elaborated? So what differential diagnosis, did you get my point? What are you
Yes,
having
sir,
in
yes,
your
sir.
mind that this patient could be having?
Yes, sir. Maybe he might be having hemothorax.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Or he is bleeding from the upper abdomen. Hemoperitoneum might be there.
Okay.
And pulmonary embolism, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I think that on day 7, I'll have a possibility of septic shock. I'll have a possibility of pneumonia. I'll have a possibility of sepsis-induced cardiac dysfunction. I'll put in DVT with embolism, which you have been emphasizing, I think from the second slide itself. And of course, he's a 55-year-old guy. He could be having MI. My point here is, whenever you have such a patient, have a broader vision. We as a surgeon tend to jump on the abdomen. We as a surgeon tend to jump on chest, thinking that hemothorax. Have a very broader vision in your mind. The patient could be having anything right from, it's a day 7 case. You got my point? So at day 7, the patient could be having any of these things. With all these points in your mind, what will you do next, Dr. Bhargava?
Sir, I would like to investigate the patient. Means I will try to put in blood, sir. I would like to transfuse blood and resuscitate the patient and stabilize him. After that, I will take him to investigate with chest X-ray and ECG and EABG.
Okay, so here I have a very good formula for all of you students that we started on with airway, breathing, circulation, disability, and exposure. Now we can have the treatment protocol in the form of a formula here itself. So somebody has put in a mark on the screen, red color mark. I don't know who has put in. Okay, So may I request the organizer to please remove this scratch, but nonetheless, my slides are visible, I suppose. So F stand for, you're going to check for fever. You're going to check what is the fluid status. And if Foley's is there in C2, well and fine. If it's not there, you are going to insert Foley's and monitor the urine output. G is for gastric tube. G is for gastric tube. So NG tubes are already in place. Now here would come Dr. Drishti, history. After you have stabilized the patient ABCD, then you will take the history and then you're going to do head-to-toe examination. You're going to investigate, and then you have some judgment. As Dr. Bhargav said, it could be emboli, it could be or any of the possibilities that we have in our mind. So if we have these protocolized manner of stabilization, assessment, and then forming a diagnosis, we have to do everything which you have elaborated so far, but in a protocolized manner. This is one of the ways it's not the only way, it is one of the ways of assessing a patient which will help you in evaluation. So,
Dr. Gyan and Dr. Masood, please conclude in 5 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
okay.
We will do that.
So,
Dr. Abu, please.
hello, Dr. Drishti,
Yes.
with the idea of secondary assessment in terms of FGHIJ, do you want any additional information? Oh, it is showing on the screen.
Yeah.
So today the patient is febrile and we have given 1 liter of RL, and since then the urine output is around 200 ml. Okay. A patient was started on oral intake on day 1 only on liquid, and he was passing urine normally for till yesterday. So any additional information do you want to like to know?
Sir, I would like to know the ABG of the patient, to know the lactate level. The patient might be going into septic shock. So accordingly, patient has fever. And sir, if the lactate level is high, I would proceed for the treatment accordingly.
Yeah, Drishti, again, I will emphasize that we are going in a protocolized manner. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So now we are taking, after we have concluded.
You should
Yes.
have asked the incidences,
History now.
what happened today, history and how it proceeded. Okay.
So see,
So
A, B,
today-
C, D, E, F, G, H. So now Dr. Abu is going to tell you what is there in history and head-to-toe examination.
Okay. Today in the morning, patient suddenly developed severe chest pain and of sudden onset, and it was preceded with fever. Okay, and patient was not on oral feed for last 4 days, so he was on IV fluids. He was on bed and not ambulatory. On head-to-toe examination, there was a contrast feature that there was a calf tenderness and mild tenderness over the surgical site, and bowel sound was sluggish. Today's investigation, you want to know about the today's investigation? Today's investigation was hemoglobin was 11.4, white cell count was 9,800, and sodium and potassium was 135 and 4.9.
Now,
Okay. So
Dr. Bhargav.
what is your interpretation, Dr. Bhargav? What is your interpretation and what further investigations do you like to perform in this patient?
now we have made
by-
things simple for you. Calf
sir.
tenderness.
Yes, sir. By looking at that, it might be means a DVT means leading to pulmonary embolism. So I would like to do I would like to send in a D-dimer, and meanwhile it is a confirmatory means to confirm my diagnosis, I would like to do CTP. Pulmonary angiography.
Very well answered, Dr. Bhargav. So you will do 12-lead ECG, you will send TROP-TI, echocardiography, Doppler ultrasound lower limb, chest X-ray ultrasound to rule out pneumonia, D-dimer, CTPA. Dr. Bhargav has said it very clearly, echo. So now this is an award question. On ECG, we have S1Q3T3 pattern. This is, you have a deep S1 wave in lead 1, you have a deep Q wave in lead 3 and an inversion of T wave in lead 3. The award question is, what does this pattern indicate and what we call this sign as? This is open to both of you.
Sir,
this
this
pattern-
is SQT3 pattern pulmonary embolism.
The name of this pattern?
Sorry, sir, I didn't remember.
Okay, Dr. Drishti, you want to try?
I
Dr.
don't-
Bhargav has answered half of it absolutely correctly. This is, found a classical sign of pulmonary emboli or a right side failure. So we call it as a McGinn-White sign. And McGinn and White were two cardiologists who described this sign in pulmonary emboli in 1935. So I think Dr. Bhargav partly answered it correctly, that it's very common. Although the most common ECG finding is sinus tachycardia. So as you said, we got a CTPA done and we can see the filling defect in the pulmonary emboli. And we made a diagnosis of pulmonary emboli and the patient had DVT. So the diagnosis is clear, DVT with pulmonary emboli. The supportive therapy is maintenance of ABCD and the definitive therapy is initiation of anticoagulation. Just a quick question to Dr. Drishti. Can we do something to prevent such DVT with pulmonary emboli in our patients?
Yes, sir. We can, if the patient is non-ambulatory, we can already have started him on subcutaneous, on low molecular weight heparin, and we can also use some calf pumps.
Very good. You answer it. A fast detection, correct diagnosis and treatment, early ambulation, mechanical and pharmacological methods to prevent DVT. And if there's no contraindication, start low molecular weight heparin, enoxaparin, deltaparin prophylactic dose in the perioperative period, especially in high-risk patient. My message to all the postgraduate student here is, whenever you examine any patient in post-operative ward round, if you have this approach of looking at his airway, providing oxygenation, checking his breathing, checking his circulation, disability exposure, F for fluid, fever, you are it. G for gastric tube, H for history, head to toe examination, I for investigation, J for judgment. This is one of the approach. If you follow it, you will doing it in a protocolized manner and your chances of missing a diagnosis would be lesser. As in this case, Dr. Bhargav on the second or third slide itself could guess it that this is a probable case of DVT. We will have that in our mind. We'll go in a protocolized manner. And this is how this patient was treated and finally improved after 48 hours. So
Thank
very
you.
well
Thank
managed
you,
by
Dr.
Dr. Bhargav
Masood.
and Dr.
Thank you,
Drishti.
Dr. Gyan.
Thank you, Dr. Nikhil, and thank you, Dr. Masood. Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir.
I will request Dr. Gyan Saurabh, Dr. Masood to type their answers in Q&A box. Thank
Okay,
you.
sure.